Hi everybody, welcome to this next one. So in this video we're going to be looking at cumulative frequency. This would only be on higher, so if you are sitting the foundation paper it's not something you need to worry about. And it also links into box plots, so if you're not 100% sure on box plots, just make sure either once you've watched this video or before watching this video you understand how it links into that. I'll put a link in the description to the video I've done on box plots as well. So let's have a little look and see what we've got going on. So it says the table below shows the time in minutes that 80 pupils spend on their phone in one day. So what we're basically saying is we need to understand what this represents. What does this information show me? So we've got between 0 minutes, but this says less than or equal to 100 minutes. So if I was to spend 100 minutes on my phone in a day, I'd sit in this group. Okay, now it can't be this group because this says 100 is less than the time that I spend, but because this is equal to, it can be in this group. Okay, so anywhere between 0 minutes on my phone and 100 minutes means I fit into this group. If I spend 101 minutes on my phone, it means I fit into this group up to 200, 201 up to 300, etc, etc. So you can see from here that we've got one person that fits between this 0 minutes and 100 minutes. We've got 5 people that are between 101 minutes or over 100 minutes and 200 minutes. 10 people in this group, 20 people here, 40 people here, and 4 people here. So straight away from here, what we can actually start looking at is something called the modal group. Now, the modal group is just the most common. Okay, so which group is the most common, meaning which one shows up the most. Now, in this example, 40 is the highest number. So there are 40 people that are in this group. So the modal group, or the modal class, you might hear it called as well, would be 400, which is less than the time, which is less than or equal to 500 minutes. So if you're ever asked about the modal group or the modal class, it's which one of these is the highest number. Don't write 40. You would need to then write the group that highest value fits in. Okay. Now, something you need to understand here is that I don't actually know exactly how many minutes this one person spent on their phone. Okay, it could be 99 minutes, it could be 2 minutes, but we don't know. I don't know exactly how long these 5 people spent, but I do know it's between this. So it's really important you understand that anything we do here is going to be a rough estimate. Okay, yeah, what we're looking at is cumulative frequency. So cumulative means that it's adding on each time. It is a culmination of what's happening in the previous group to the next group. Now, what you notice is I've kept these groups the same here, okay, as they are here, but we're actually going to change them because in a cumulative frequency table, each one of these will start from the initial value, and the initial value is 0. Okay, and I'll show you why that works. So this group here is between 0 and 100, so we know there's one person between 0 and 100. But a minute ago I had 100 to 200 here, but what for a cumulative frequency, what you'll have is this table that goes, okay, from 0 minutes to 200 minutes, how many people fit in there? So from here to here, how many people are there? Well, I've got one that fits in that group, and because I'm going from this point to this point, it's both of those added together. So therefore that's then 6. For the next one, it's 0 to 300. So from this point to this point is that, that, and that. So you're just basically adding each group together. So if I've got 1 there plus 5 there, that's 6, plus another 10 means there are 16 people in those 3 groups. Again, look here, it goes from 0 to 400. So from here to here, I'm then adding on another 20 to what I've already got there, which gives me 36. 0 to 500 means I'm going from here all the way up to here. So I need to add on another 40 to that, which gives me 76. And then the last one, from 0 to 600, it's from there to there, which is everyone in the table, and that should end up giving you whatever the total is up there, which it does, so I know I'm right. So the cumulative frequency table always starts from 0, or from the initial value, might not necessarily be 0, but it's a combination of each group. So this would be worth 1 mark in an exam. If they don't give you that table, you have to create that yourself. Okay, so we know that cumulative frequency just adds on each group each time. Now I need to plot this information on a graph now. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what I do. What you need to remember, a couple of key things, is the shape of the graph is going to look like a bit of a shallow S shape. Okay, so just remember a cumulative frequency will have a shallow S shape when you plot it. And the other thing is you need to plot at the end of each group. Now it's really important that you remember that. it's the end of each group. If you were to plot it in the middle of the group, or if you were to plot it at the start of each group, it's wrong. So what I mean by the end of each group is this part here. So it's at 100 and then 1. So I go to 100 on my x-axis, and then I go to 1, and I put a cross at that point down there. Okay? Then I go to 200, and I plot at 6. So 200, and I plot at 6, takes me to that point there. Just remember, because it's a cumulative total, it's a rolling total. Think about it like this. The total rolls to the end of each group. Okay? Next one is 316. So I go to 300 on my x-axis, up to 16. So that's 10, 15, 16. Be approximately there. My scale is not the best in this, but you get the idea. 436. So 400, there's 30. That'd be 35. So it's going to be 36. And then I'm doing 576. So 576 would be up there. And then the last one, 680. So you can see that it grows quite quickly here and then stabilizes out as you get towards the end. What you now need to do is, as I say, it should look like a bit of a shallow S. So don't use a straight line. Don't use a ruler. You are joining these points together. Bit of a smooth curve. And you're trying to create this S shape as you do it. Okay, so that's what a cumulative frequency graph would look like. Remember, plot at the end of each group and create a shallow S shape. Okay, so following that line through, making it as neat and as tidy as you possibly can. Okay, now from here you could be asked some questions. So let's just zoom out a bit so you can see the questions. It says find the lower quartile. Okay, now we need to understand what lower quartile, upper quartile and median are. Now hopefully you know that the median would be your middle. Okay, everything we do here is going to be an estimate because this graph is not going to be perfect and your line is going to be slightly different to my line. Okay, when we're talking about the lower quartile, it's the lowest 25%. Okay, quarter meaning 25%, and the upper quartile will be the highest 25%. Okay, or you could say 75% of the data. So let's have a look at what we can do to find this. Now I'm going to do median first. So let's jump straight to C and have a look at median. So median is the middle. I know that in this graph there are 80 pieces of data. Okay, so I'm going to look for the middle of 80, which is 40, and go to 40 on that line, draw a line across, and then read down to see where I get to. So the reason I've gone to 40 is because there's 80 pieces of data. The median is the middle. Go to 40, read across, read down. Now look at my scale quickly. That's 400, so that's 425, 450, 475, 500. So that would be 425. It's roughly halfway or just slightly below halfway from 400 to 425. So I could say it's around about 412.5 minutes. Okay, there would be a range that you would be allowed. Okay, so the median time that pupils spend on their phone is 412 minutes, 412 and a half minutes. Okay, let's now look at the lower quartile. So lower quartile is the lowest 25%. So if I've got 80 pieces of data, I need to divide that by 4. Well, 80 divided by 4 is 20. So you go to 20 on your x-axis now, on your y-axis, sorry. Read across, read down, see where it hits your line, and I can see that my lower quartile is at 325 minutes. Okay, so 25% of the people, 20 pupils, spend less than 325 minutes on their phone. So that means that 75% of pupils spend more than 325 minutes on their phone. Last one we're going to do then is the upper quartile. So 80 pieces of data. You find your lower quartile, which is 20. And then because it's the upper quartile, it's 3/4. You then times that by 3, which means I go to 60. You read across. And when you get to that point, and you hit your graph, you then read down. Now, that's not quite perfect for me. It's at that point in there, which is probably 450, 460-ish. So you're reading off the scale. As I say, there will be a range that you would be allowed, but it's close to that 460 mark for me. Okay, now what that means is 75% of pupils spend 460 minutes on their phone for my sample. There are 25% of pupils that spend more than 460 minutes on their phone. Okay, so this represents 20 more pupils. So 20 pupils are spending above 460. You could say 40 pupils spend more than this time because that's half the number of pupils. And you could say here, because that's the lowest quartile, less than 20. These are the bottom 20 pupils that spend less than 325 minutes on their phone. So you're splitting it into quarters to work out how many people fit in each section there. So let's now talk about this last question, how those values help me. So estimate the percentage of pupils that spend more than 420 minutes on their phone. Okay, so let's go to 420 first of all. Probably around about there. So we're looking at this point, and then you're drawing a line across and seeing how many pupils that actually is. So it's slightly below that line as well. If I was to draw a dotted line across, it's probably around about there. So that would be about 44 pupils, I'd say. So 44 pupils is at that point there. So I read 420, read up, saw where it hit my line, and then read across 44 pupils is at that point. Now, let's read the question again just to double check. It's more than that time. So what we're looking at is how many pupils basically fall in this bit here. Because it's got to be greater than 420 minutes, it's all of these pupils. So because I'm on 44 there, it's the difference between 44 and 80. Okay, so 44, so 80 minus 44 gives you 36. So there are 36 pupils that fall within that section there and that bit there. It's asking me for a percentage. So it's 36 pupils out of a total of 80 pupils. So it's what you've got out of 80 and then times by 100. And when you work that out, that will tell you the percentage of pupils that spend more than the 420 minutes. So 36 divided by 80, then times 100. When I do that, I get 45%. So 45% of pupils spend more than 420 minutes on their phone. If it asked me for how many spend less than 420 minutes, well, it would then be 44 pupils out of 80 divided by 100. Okay, so that's how you can use cumulative frequency graph. What you could also do, as I say, if you then have checked the box plot video, you could then use this information to plot a box plot, because we've got our lowest value, we've got a lower quartile, we've got a median, we've got an upper quartile, and we've got our maximum time here of 600 as well. Now, the maximum and the minimum would be an estimate because we don't actually know for sure if it is bang on 600, and we don't know exactly if it would be bang on 0. Something to notice as well, you don't have to, but if you did draw your line down to 0, which is where it starts, that would be okay, but you don't have to. So that's how you use a cumulative frequency graph, how you can interpret it, and how you can break down all the information in it. Hopefully you found that useful. Key thing to remember is all these points here, how you find the lower, upper, and median, and then how you can interpret it by using that. But just remember, it's a rolling total. A couple of key things to remember. It's a rolling total. It looks like a shallow S shape, and you plot at the end of each group. Okay? Hope you found it useful. Hope it helped you. See you all in the next video.